Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to another Saturday night Sci-Fi Shadow Chat. Tonight, we're going to take a walk on the wild side and explore those seedier aspects of sci-fi, the black market, those back alleys where dirty deals are done and done dirt cheap. Speaking of dirty deeds and done dirt cheap, what the heck? Justin, why aren't you showing up? There he is. Hi, man.
Call me dirty? That's what you get. That's what you get.
I was just referring to the...
It says I'm absolutely and legitimately a scholar.
And here comes another one of our compatriots in crime.
There we go. Yeah, we see you. You're there. You're chewing on something.
Hey, I had to be here. I had to be here. Dirty, seedy, backdoor. Welcome to the weird, babies. I finally.
And you know, corrupted. Justin, I'm still going to use your idea, but I liked it so much. What I want to do, Justin, is make that a regular feature. The last week of every month, we're going to just do a free for all. Whatever pops in our minds, whatever folks out there want to talk about, maybe even give them a chance to, make some suggestions of some like mini topics we can talk about. And then of course, next month, it'll all be about Halloween and all the things that go bump in the night. I want to welcome Crafting Gamer to the chat. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, Crafting. So basically, the last week of the month will be officially what we do for the rest of the month. Just go off on tangents.
Oh no! I got plenty of stuff for Halloween, my friend. Plenty of stuff. And Crafting, I am so glad you were here because I went out and I got this particular Gundam for the.
That's a Zaku. that good sir is one Zaku Mark II F2.
This is going to be the one I'm going to convert for your challenge. I was looking at them, and of course, it was on sale. I got it for like $13 at Hobby Lobby. But I don't know if
I told you about that.
Oh, I've known about that for years, man.
Yeah, that's normal prices for.
Well, it's 40% off this weekend, and every other weekend, Hobby Lobby literally puts all their model kits off, puts them 40% off. But I don't know if you can see that like shoulder thing he's got going on.
The spike shoulder and the shield.
Yeah, that big thing. I'm gonna just. I need you guys' help to find a big old American flag decal to put.
Oh, that's all wrong, man. That's a Zaku. That's Zeke Zeon. You got to paint that thing in German gray.
You need to stick an enemy mech's head on that spike.
I might do something like that.
That'd be cool.
I'm gonna probably paint it up in an olive drab, with some number decals and other insignia that I could find for the weird World War II.
They're literally the German analogous.
I'm gonna probably take some other stuff. I really like the head because it was the closest thing I could find to like a GI helmet. It's the closest thing out of all the other Gundams. But I've got some other Gundams that I can pull stuff from and maybe, switch it around a little bit. Hey, Grandma, welcome to the show. Still waiting on Bo and Omen, but if they don't...
Bo is going to show up?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know,
dude. I'm worried about Mo's, Bo's got a pretty good moral fiber to the man. I don't know if this is his show.
You'd be surprised how
dark that guy can get.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I don't know necessarily dark, but
trust me. I've gamed with him a few times. And fucker, he'll swing quick. He will swing quick.
Hey, what's happening, Arkeith? Welcome to the show. Just painting your space fleet. Nice. You know what? I got like an entire fleet. Actually, like 4 or 5 fleets in the mail from a good buddy of mine who does some recasting of minis that are completely out of circulation, decades long out of circulation, but it comes along with a kind of an interesting story that we'll be sharing on Monday or Tuesday. I also picked up some paint and some other doodads, to do some stuff. Sweet on the fleets. Thanks, Grandma. Yeah, they're all metal. That's the other thing. Not only they're all metal, but I actually used to work for the game company that I'll be showing off. Probably nobody's ever heard of them, but it was way back in the late 80s, early 90s, I want to say. It's like 23, 24 years old, but it was one of the first steps into working for, the big guys. But we'll talk about that later this week. I'm also still working on the stuff for Mini War Much Challenge. I can't believe you banged out 100 minis, but
101, man.
But better than that, man. Congrats on the job thing. We all knew you were going to land it.
Yeah, yeah. How's it doing at Taco Bell?
I'm the Taco Bell meat cooker. Yeah, I cook that shit up good.
Meat quotation marks.
Damn right. I give it that special sauce.
Yeah.
A little tang.
I am so not even going to touch that with a 10-foot spatula.
But
so
yeah,
you guys have a good weekend, everything like that?
Yeah. So far.
Yeah, last night, man.
Yeah, it was good. Good time.
Yeah. You know what? It was a lot of fun. I haven't laughed that hard in a game in a good long time. Most of the games I'm in are kind of serious. Bloodworth's games got some good folks in it, and we do have some fun, but it's always kind of PG fun, which is totally fine. But Bri here asked me, what's the rating going to be on the show tonight, because we are talking about the seedier elements of
XXX.
No,
yeah, because I could really go off the edge, brother.
Right, but I told him the first hour we're going to try and keep it under the R rating if we can. Maybe.
So I was walking down this alley in this game once, and a guy got his head ripped off, and there's blood all over.
No, I got no problem.
And several naked women walked out from behind him. Well, like, yeah.
We'll get to that. Hey, Hungar, we will get to that
Hungar,
in the second hour. I just want to make sure that if Bo's here and Omen's here, we don't scare them off in the first hour. And if they don't show up, I don't know.
Where's Mr. Jackie? Is he out
He is downstairs working on his computer. He was having some trouble with it.
Doesn't sound like a lawnmower.
He couldn't get it working for a couple of days, and once he did get it working, he's like, I gotta play my game or whatever. I don't know. He said he might pop in the chat. So again, let's try not to make his ears bleed and have him come up here and splash in holy water.
I don't get it, man. Like, you got to get a bigger lawn. If he's playing Lawnmower Simulator on his computer,
God.
No, next week, I'm not gonna have him mow the lawn every day.
Yeah.
You gotta let it grow out a little, otherwise he's just burning gas and getting a little bit of exercise.
That's what I said. You need to give him a job mowing other people's lawns.
Everybody in the neighborhood's got somebody mowing the lawn. So
his people like to undercut competition. So
there is always that.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Keith. Old school, basic. I've actually got the box set right here. I've had the copy of it for my whole freaking life, and it still looks pretty damn good, because as soon as we got it, we're like, what is this crap? This is like Dungeons and Dragons for babies, so we went over to AD&D instantly. Actually, I think I bought it after AD&D. Yeah, I did. I'm like, ooh, what's this? And it was just crap. I mean, it's okay to start if it's the first way, your first step into Dungeons and Dragons.
I
cool.
think that's the point of it, though.
Yeah, I did say basic on it, but I probably didn't see that either. I've been reading a lot of Ravenloft. I'm liking what I'm reading. I really like the the role playing tips in it more than the actual lore, which was really surprising. Even back then they were pretty on top of helping the players and the dungeon masters really get into the characters and the scenery, and instead of just a war game with miniatures and that sort of thing. So it looks like you're falling asleep there, Bri.
No, I'm just listening to you.
So where shall we start?
Cleaning his teeth when he came on, man.
I made a small list just off the top of my head. Like
that's awesome. That's awesome. I had a few things I wanted to talk about. The whole idea of for a lot of sci-fi games, except maybe Star Trek and Star Wars, there's always been a sort of seedy underside, the black market, those dirty shady deals, bounty hunters, the backroom deals in the local cantina or whatever. Ungar, if he shows up, he shows up. I can show you my dog. I know it's not.
Whoa, bro.
Oh, okay, Grandma. No worries, no worries. I went real quick. I went looking at Ravenloft to see how many supplements there were, and oh my God, there's got to be at least 50 different supplements for that. I thought I had a lot. I had to stack like this big. I'm like, yeah, I got some Ravenloft.
If I owned a freaking RPG company, there'd be 10,000 supplements a year.
Yeah,
because that's the business, especially on the print on demand market. Like,
yeah,
these days, there's no reason why not to mass produce those effing things. And
and there's a million people out there wanting to get their break in and in writing and being in the industry, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, Bri, are you a member of the Hellfire Club?
Oh yeah, like
founding member.
The Marvel Hellfire Club.
I don't know. There's
the shirt I'm wearing from Stranger Things.
He just watched Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's just what that is.
I was a huge. I literally got into the X-Men right around the Hellfire Club. I mean, technically, my first issue was the Death of the Phoenix, but then I went backwards as opposed to forwards because I loved what I read. Like when that Dark issue Phoenix came out, when she offed herself, that was like huge. I was working in a comic book store. Nobody could get that issue, and I went to my local liquor store right next to the heavy metal magazines. I grabbed 4 freaking copies of it. They shot up to $100 that week, right? Yeah. I kept them, and I went and I had Chris Claremont sign one of them on the cover with an Analyt pen. And like within a couple of years of getting them, they went down to $10, and I was like, "What is this shit?" I'm bringing Omen in.
Omen,
what's happening, man?
Hello. Sorry, I was trying to finish up a little quest in Jedi. So
no worries. We had
and your sandwich.
Yeah, I was almost late. I was way behind, but I managed to squeak it in right under the wire. So, Brian, let's hear some stuff on your list.
Oh, well, just sitting here, I was thinking about, since Justin's here, I thought I'd jump into the Canadian aspect of it. Cronenberg is classic, like body horror, like Rabid and Shivers. His early shit is just, he must have had like some bad like sexual encounters or a STD or some shit, because Shivers and Rabid are basically the same movie. It's like
I'm gonna have to watch them.
Yeah, it's like an STD that gets out and turns everybody into like zombie killers and shit.
I have never heard of any of this. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's what you're gonna leave with, huh?
And then Extro. You guys have seen Extro.
The one with the virtual machine?
No.
Have you heard any
that was one of those later ones. I think.
Hold on, I need to get a paper and start taking notes, man.
It's called IMDb.
One of, there's a lot, guys. I mean, it's like anything made in Italy in the fucking 70s and 80s is shit. Sci-fi wise, it's either a rip-off of like Star Wars or whatever, or it's just some grindhouse thing that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Not of This Earth. That's a Corman flick with Tracy Lords. That was her first break-in from going from porn to mainstream.
Yeah.
And then you just mentioned bounty hunters, and the first thing I think about is sci-fi bounty hunters is The Hidden.
The Hidden? I've never seen The Hidden. I was thinking the TV show Space Hunter.
Oh yeah, Space
Never
Hunter.
heard of that one either.
Yeah,
You're
don't
just
watch
killing
it.
me, man.
Don't watch it.
Okay.
Save yourself.
But there's there's a lot
It's
of
bad.
like comedy one like Flesh Gordon and oh hell,
Barbarella.
Barbarella is shit, guys. I mean, she's
Yeah.
hot. Jane Fonda's hot, but that movie is just, I just want to puke.
It
I saw it once. I couldn't get into it.
It's
has
so
so much
sick.
potential.
Yeah, it was. Mind you, I probably saw it in the '80s. And
If it was made in the 80s, it would have been better.
Yeah,
Come on, it was Dino De Laurentiis, and it was right before, it was what set the precursor for Flash Gordon with all the cool stuff in the background.
Yeah.
I'm not
It
saying
did
Barbarella.
have a lot of cool stuff in the background. There were some like nice sets, but there
I
was
don't
just
recommend Barbarella, but come on, Flash Gordon. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
that was a
It's an
kick
absolute
We're all pro Flash.
Flash Gordon was awesome. Dude.
exactly. But without Barbarella, we would have never gotten Flash Gordon.
And
yeah,
this
there's
guy up here not liking freaking Queen. The hell
Sorry.
is
Sorry.
you need to get a
I'm not
taser
gonna lie,
to the
they've got
nuts.
some good songs. They've got some good songs, but I just they
Oh, come on.
just
The only thing I know about Queen is Flash Gordon and Highlander. And
Highlander.
everything else I don't know.
I hated Highlander. I absolutely
Did you
hated it.
really?
The only
original one,
Highlander
like-
the only Highlander I like is Highlander 2. I know. I'm freaking weird and
It's like-
twisted.
That's
It's
like
just not
Michael
my thing.
Ironside too, isn't it? That's another
Yeah.
Canadian
Now,
badass.
if you separated that, if that was like not a Highlander movie, it would be a great film.
Maybe
But
that's what my
because-
brain was doing, because the Highlander movie, I get it. It was a seminal movie. Everybody freaking loves it. But I was just
Yeah.
like, this is so predictable from the first freaking 10 minutes. I'm like,
Yeah, but like
I hate that. I just
it's
hate
not
that.
the motivation of the character, like the events of the story aren't the thing you're watching. You're watching the emotional. It's an angst film, okay? It's about the fucking angst. The guy is dealing with the emotional consequences of being a goddamn immortal.
No, we don't care about him. We only care about all of his friends that are
The
trying
Kurgan.
to
You
Kurgan
just like the
is-
Kurgan. I hate the fucking Kurgan. Okay? The Kurgan
Clancy-
makes me
Clancy
want to
Brown
puke.
is-
Clancy Brown is awesome.
Everything
Clancy
he
Brown is
touched,
awesome, but I
He's
fucking hate
epic,
the Kurgan.
That made his career. He didn't even get paid for that.
I don't care.
What?
I think it's his worst role.
Oh
Yeah,
no! When he's driving down the bridge in the opposite direction, screaming, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Like me personally, I like the concept.
Yeah, Keith,
of the
I
Highlander.
love those books. Those books were the horse clans, right?
What
Freaking
books?
love those books. Robert Adams.
Robert Adams. Oh,
The Coming of the Horse Clans.
No, I don't know them. I'll have to
Okay.
look them up.
It's United States, Canada. Something happens, post-apocalyptic.
Kinda like the Postman?
What?
The Postman,
It's kind of like that. It is.
Hey,
With
but
a
the
lot.
book, not the movie.
hey,
movie was
I've got to
terrible.
bring up. If you're gonna bring up all these bad movies, we got to bring up Zardoz.
Zardoz
Ugh.
is
Never
yeah.
seen it.
God.
and I
You
honestly, I
need
never
to
watched-
end the show right now and go watch Zardoz. I've told you this multiple times.
Man, it is
You are
such
not-
Grandma, exactly.
it is such an anomaly, dude. It's supposed to be showing like this higher level kind of bullshit, and it doesn't fucking work. It doesn't work at
Yeah,
all.
but it's still a good film.
Keith,
I mean,
grab them.
Wait a minute.
Before
What
you
about
do,
Time
hook up with
Bandits?
me and I'll
Let's
tell you
not
how to
forget
get 'em.
Time
Bandits is
Bandits.
Yeah, but that's not bad. That's not debased or seedy at all.
All right, well,
Time
I'm sorry.
Bandits,
When
they
he
were
was saying
freaking
CD, I was
thieves.
originally thinking that he was going to be talking about, the crime lords and stuff. Instead, we're going.
We just get
okay.
we get sidetracked.
Oh, I thought we were talking about like seedy sci-fi, like The Breeder and like all the.
I was thinking back.
That'll
Well,
be on the
movies
here's
and
the
stuff.
thing, right?
Anything by Roger Corbin.
Yeah.
Roger Corbin is pretty sleek.
Here's
I
the
love
thing. If those movies for you would inspire you to run a seedy sci-fi game, that's what I'm shooting for. The whole show is trying to bring some love for the sci-fi genre in the gaming world. Besides 40K and Star Wars, Star Trek, there's a whole lot of other stuff out there that deserves some love.
Okay. So like, let's talk about the breeding thing, right? I mean, we don't have to get graphic, but that's a big thing in a lot of like motivation of monsters and raiding parties or whatever. But for some reason, because it's so taboo and so triggering, I get it. I'm not diminishing what happened if in reality, but we're not sitting in reality. This is a fictional, situation. And
I'm sitting in a chair. I'm consenting to the game.
You're safe. There's people around you that you trust or whatever the hell. And it's like,
we have popcorn.
Yeah, but
nothing bad ever happens around popcorn.
It's like orcs. Like
you get something stuck in your tooth.
You think orcs raiding a village aren't going to be brutalizing people and murdering people? It's so weird because we're okay with like
having
murdering.
Orcs in your game is racist. Didn't you know that?
But no, but think about it. We are so.
You can do better, Justin. Come on.
We're so like conditioned that it's okay to cut someone's head off, and like see that. But my God, if you show a tit or like some sort of aggression,
I'm Canadian, bro. It's the other way around.
Dude, it's just like, exactly. Canada's a little different, but I mean, there's a fine line on how to play that out. You don't have to be graphic, but
absolutely. I don't think most people actually appreciate or want anything other than maybe a fade to black. When it gets past a certain point.
I want hyper graphic details on nipples.
I could send you a picture that would make you wish you'd never mind. I'm not going to go there.
I don't need to see you topless, man. You had that.
No, but it's like
exactly.
Sci-fi. Exactly. In sci-fi, it's the same thing. There's, you have that whole like alien invasion and the,
there are so many. There are so many instances. We were talking about the alien thing. Where it does seem a little, in the animal kingdom, it's like no big deal. You know what I mean? Exactly. Nobody cares. You got two dogs over there doing their thing. Nobody's going to be like, oh my God, my stars,
he's
clutching their pearls.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Like,
but when it's people, it's so weird how,
but that's the thing,
weird we are about it.
No one cared about nudity except if you were taking your kids. And let's talk about the reality. That's what rated R films are for, and people go see them. And if you look at all the nudity in Game of Thrones, and yet women were all.
I like that, Grandma. I like
this.
that.
I mean,
who just joined us? I bet that's Bo.
But it's real, though. You know what I mean? It's like in our lives, there's like we're sitting here eating popcorn, we're having sex. We're cutting down a tree. We're defending our family from raiders. I mean, it's everything. And to just,
God forbid you kill a dog. A dog is like the you can't do that at all. Oh, speaking of which, can we not forget Galaxy of Terror, which was the biggest alien ripoff by Roger Corman.
Never seen it.
Oh, is that the one with the chick in the white?
Giant,
the one with the chick in the white suit
thing. Yeah.
That doesn't narrow it down.
Was it me or did
oh, no, that's the one with the shower scene and the alien.
What was that movie? What was that movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
What was that movie? That sci-fi movie with Farrah Fawcett
and
Saturn 6.
Saturn
3.
Yeah, Saturn.
Yeah, Saturn.
One of those numbers.
5. Okay, well then
it's a Saturn movie.
5. Then it was Capricorn 1. That I always get those two.
No, not Capricorn 1. That's
totally different night.
That's a good movie.
No, wait a minute. If we're gonna talk about seedy sci-fi films,
but wasn't there like some sort of weirdness going on in Saturn 5, or was that me?
There's always
No,
weirdness in
I
it,
mean,
yes.
There's weirdness
Yeah,
going
the
on.
robot wanted her and like was
Yeah,
killing.
yeah. It's like
yeah,
kind of like the Frankenstein's monster kind of thing. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
okay.
I'm surprised.
Let's not
I'm
forget
surprised no one's-
Outland if
sorry.
we're going to talk about seedy films, because there's a classic, non-nudity aspects to that where you have drugs and a cartel all going to kill him.
I Come in
What?
Peace is I Come in Peace is a fantastic sci-fi movie, and it's about a drug dealer that comes to Earth and it extracts endorphins. It like
Is it
injects
anything
people.
like not Earth Girls Are Easy, but what was that other one?
Avatar 2.
No,
Avatar 2.
There was
No,
another
we
one.
don't admit that
But-
exists.
yeah, that's another aspect. I think Traveler actually like took out the drug element in their game and in a couple editions just to. I'm like, what? Are you guys literally on drugs to take out the drugs in Traveler? And the funny thing about all the drugs in Traveler was they were all like combat drugs. Is the ones they were talking about. Things that made you faster or immune to pain and things like that our own government has been working on, or the governments of the world have been working on since warfare. They've always found ways to artificially enhance people to be better soldiers or even not necessarily even in the military. I can see how like underground fight club kind of thing where people would be looking for stuff to make them better fighters. That's a pretty seedy aspect of the whole sci-fi genre, and I guarantee that Dune right off the bat. I mean, was melange not a mind?
It was an
Yeah,
actual
drug.
drug. It was an actual drug that if you
And
took,
the whole
you were just gonna kill you.
universe was wrapped around that. Was just totally obsessed with that. But not necessarily from what I understand as a pastime or a
The economy of the
necessity.
universe is based
Necessity.
on that.
right. Crystal Methodist. Why are you not in here, Bo?
Yeah, man. This is the
Come
wrong
on,
show
Bo.
to be kind.
Damn.
And welcome to the show, Crafting. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Glad to hear it.
I'm sitting here thinking, why hasn't anybody mentioned the seedier parts of Babylon 5? Because Babylon 5 had a really, really seedy. Like if you paid attention to the episodes where they shine a light on that, it was really dark stuff. Like drugs to make you psychic. Literally, there's an episode where a gang uses a brain eater to intimidate people.
How about the brothel that they had where you with the
the cyber brothel
where they could put somebody's attributes
Yeah.
and face and stuff. I mean, that's going to be like the first freaking thing people go to their holodecks for here on Earth.
Oh,
That's,
yeah.
I mean, that's why we have the internet in the first place.
Well, I mean, that was Blade Runner 2049, and what was that other one with? They had Arnold Schwarzenegger, where they'd clone him.
7 days.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Firefly,
Well, they had that one in there
great,
too.
yeah, Grandma.
Firefly.
That Firefly was all about seedy. I mean, that's the crime. I think the only thing they didn't really do was recreational drugs. They did do the stolen vaccine or whatever it was in the train job or whatever.
I think there was food supplements.
No.
It's like
No, it was the cure for a disease that was going around, and they stole it without knowing what it was, and it was supposed to go to the town to help them, but the crime lord wanted it for himself.
So, I mean, here's a question for you guys. Sick of not playing like a mature. I mean, it's funny if like you play a little funny ha-ha-has or whatever, but I mean, I'd like to play mature games. I mean, when I say mature, it's not like everybody's fucking or whatever, but I mean, it's like we're thinking on a mature level. We're doing mature things, like real adult, situations. And
it's funny how fantasy more often than not tries to avoid that.
It is boring as hell. It's boring. Most printed fantasy is just vanilla garbage. It's just boring. It's just
Mhm.
it's just boring.
That's probably why I got burnt on it at
I
such an
think-
early age. Because me myself, I was involved in some pretty dark stuff with my job and what have you, and I saw some really really dark things at a very early age, and that's why I gravitated more, I think, towards science fiction, because I was surrounded by guns and people who use guns on a regular freaking basis. You know, going and playing Robin Hood, just didn't quite get the adrenaline going, I guess, for me.
Yeah,
I'm still-
I think that's why a lot of people badmouth Terry Goodkind, because like the main bad guy in his series, The Sword of Truth, literally uses his power to rape chicks.
I mean, and listen, that is like a person with no morals, right? That is completely self-gratifying, right? That is
that's Tregang is that way.
Plausible. Yeah, it's completely plausible, like motivation. Like I want instant gratification. I want money. I want to feel this. I don't care what I have to do to get it or who I destroy. Those are real motivations for evil.
And make for great bad guys.
Yeah.
Great realistic bad guys that you have to chase across the freaking galaxy. I mean, who doesn't want to do that at one point or another?
Well,
be the space cop or detective or bounty hunter who's got to go chase down these
even better, be the dad. I mean, screw all these organizations and shit.
Right.
Victims always have a survivor.
Yeah.
Why don't? That's another thing. It's
great idea.
We're playing in Bo's thing. Why aren't any of you guys married and have kids?
Because we're in the military. Why would we be married and have kids in the military if we're going to be?
But you know what I mean? It happens all the time.
Yes, and they get divorced all the time.
But they don't. There's lots of people that are married and have kids and are in the military that don't ever.
But they're usually older. This younger generation is really bad.
You know why you don't do it? It's easy.
No. My here's the problem. They go find some stripper or something. They think she's really pretty, and then they get a divorce like three years later. I mean, the reality of it is that it's pretty bleak, and unless you find those very rare instances, which I have a couple friends that did that, but most people I knew around the military had a divorce rate much higher than the average, because because they're not around. What's the point of having kids and parents if you're never going to be around? That's why.
That's a traditional. That's your traditional, depiction of what it needs to be. There's so many divergent lifestyles and attitudes and arrangements that. But that's the thing. We assume we have these absolutes, and it's just like it's so varied, man. And we just
it is now. It is now.
Yeah, it's just and it's like
Keith, if you've been married 60 years, how in the world can you be in the military? They kick you out after you hit like 52.
Well, no, but
he's talking about his dad.
I'm just teasing him.
Okay.
I enjoy like real life, because a perfect character would be you, Shadow.
Yep.
You're in the military, trying to make money for your family or protect your family and your son. You have a son back home, and your motivation is that, or like I got to get back to my son, or I got to protect my son.
That's great if you're conscripts. It really is. If you're conscripts, it's fine, but otherwise, it's kind of just like. Why? Because if you're on the ship and everything else, that's the problem that you have with a lot of these. Is it's just
and another thing,
your child.
You guys talk about like Firefly. Why didn't any of those people have a family on the ship?
The dog had a sister.
I think they would have. I think it was like.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think that was like building up. If you would follow the show after it got canceled,
the first officer.
I think Simon and Kaylee would have got together. They would have,
the first officer and the pilot were married in the show,
right? And they could have.
There was a subtext of them talking about having kids and having them in that life.
And of course, the captain and Inara couldn't because Inara was dying of cancer or something like that.
No, she was a prostitute. And
she was also dying of cancer. But
was she? I wasn't.
There was a class thing in there too.
But realistic writing, they don't give a shit. you love somebody and you
You
want to be with them
see
for as
how
long
you
as you can before
later
they're
tonight,
gone.
hopefully.
You gotta tell me where they talk about that in the show. I don't remember.
Oh, it's not in the show. It's in the comic books,
Okay.
which were pretty canon.
They were hinting at a lot of it when it was in there, but
I thought
yeah,
it was
I mean,
just.
but-
I mean, she clearly wanted to hook up with him. You know what I mean? You could see when they were on that planitude with the prostitutes, and the captain hooked up with that one prostitute. You could see that Anar was just freaking like heartbroken.
live it.
But okay, so Bo put a
Yeah.
good thing in. He's like, I'm on a
That was the first
submarine.
episode.
I'm in the military in the submarine. Why don't I have a family on my submarine? Dude, Firefly is not a government vessel that is crewed by conscripted individuals to man it.
okay.
Firefly is like a home in space where they're all coming together to try to live, like
Hey,
survive.
Hey, Brian, I agree with you on that aspect, but see, you have to realize where our campaign started, which is
No. I'm not talking. I'm not pointing out Bo's thing. It was just an example. I'm not critical of Bo's story. I think it's great, but I'm just saying a lot of the like
Why
the
isn't Bo
Millennium
in here?
Falcon. Why didn't Han have a girlfriend?
Well,
Yeah.
He was
He
meant
did.
to hook up with Leia, and
But
then
you
they
know
had
what
a
I mean.
kid.
What is
Yeah.
he, 35, and he doesn't have a girlfriend, and he's
Why
flying
would
across
you
the
have
universe?
a girlfriend? I mean, come on, you're a smuggler. You find whoever's available at the local
Well-
port. You just move
Well, that's
on.
what I'm talking about.
Up
didn't
That's
have
not
until
a
he
anything.
met
girlfriend.
up
That's
until he
not a
met Luke's
girlfriend. That's
sister,
kind of
he was
just-
really into furries.
There's some interesting comic books about
God,
that.
why does that remind me of the Steve Austin and Bigfoot episode of Venture Brothers?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Why?
Everything in the world should
That's great.
both remind you of that and not remind you of that.
But then it's like, and it's like other things, we put out stuff that is that isn't, it's not fun. Like taxes. We never fucking play taxes in our gaming.
Well, you know
I do.
why? Because we're all
No, the
outlaws. Why in the
GM
world? If we're killing people, why would we pay our taxes? Hey
No,
guys,
that's what I'm talking about. It's just like it's left out.
no, it's
you know,
not.
or like-
it's never
It
left that.
is.
If you have no, it isn't. Why would we pay
It
for
is.
taxes? If there is no one there to collect taxes, we're not paying taxes. But if
Do
you go
you
to any
think-
port, you're paying port fees and taxes out the nose
Yeah.
for all of that.
Yeah.
Do
The
you
taxes
seriously
are
think
kind
that?
Taxes for me have always been a way that the GM, whether it's me or somebody else, relieves the player characters of all that
Yes.
extra cash.
Thank
And-
you.
And
That's what I'm.
about it.
That's
It's
what I'm
just like-
talking about.
it's just a
It's like
nuisance.
you seriously think a kingdom. You go into like a dungeon in this guy's kingdom, and you destroy
No.
the monster, and you
Well,
take all that
that's in the
gold.
rule
You don't
books,
think
bro.
that guy's going to come down and say, "Whoa, that's part of the
Excuse
kingdom's gold." Hook
You're
it
right,
up,
Paul.
bitch.
You're right.
Reality.
Here's the reality. If the king wasn't taking all that gold from the dungeon in the first place, he probably can't take out the characters. I mean, that's the other
Yeah.
point. It's kind of like, well, you know what? Well, we'll get involved. And I said, oh, really? You think Luxembourg's can come after Prigozhin for this stuff? I mean, that's the kind of thing. It's like, Luxembourg can't take on the Wagner forces, but
Well, the thing is, it's like if you want to talk about Russia, the reason, Bakhmut was a big thing with all the coal and shit. You had two or three vying paramilitary forces trying to secure that themselves because they're going to get lucrative deals for it. It wasn't anything about the Russian, Federation's honor and patriotism.
well,
they want the fucking money.
I can say this much: is they never just fight for one thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, they just fight for money." Like, no, they don't. They because usually it's not worth the money. But here's the other part that comes down in there. I can say this from being overseas. But then the other part is that there always has to be some other motivation in there. But the other part of whenever we talk about taxes, taxes only influence you whenever you're in a civilized part of the world. Taxes don't mean anything to pirates. They never did. But
Pirates never maintain. They will always be defeated. You know why? Is because you have these governments that tax their people that can buy these fleets and have more shit, and they motivate others to say, look, we don't have any fleets, but you're going to be a privateer. So if you kill these guys, you get to tax them, you get to tax them with all their shit, half of the fleet, or whatever. We give you equivalent to half of what the ship is. I like that reality. That's like it makes things complex. It's not just like monster hack.
Yeah, well, I'm not. Well, see, the point that you're saying is, and this is the way I look at it, is if you're in the borderlands, taxes don't mean anything. And let's be honest about this: is they can't collect them anyway. But
the thing is, they do.
They don't.
Every
in the borderlands,
every wild place in this world or how the hell does Afghanistan tax their people? It happens. It does. But Afghanistan levies taxes somehow, and the people pay it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
That's
true.
That's the same thing as the. Well, that's nowhere.
It's taxed through goods and.
Well, exactly. But it happens. It happens even in the borderlands.
In the borderlands, they don't tax. Most of the time, it's the same thing of paying off. I mean, we don't call it a tax, but it's like, here, let me go pay off the Barbary pirates. That's exactly what's going on.
That's a tax.
Yeah, it's a tax.
It's a tax by another name.
Well,
right? Go talk to Shakespeare and his Rose, man.
So Shadow, how many times in your gaming that you've made your characters pay off the guards or the Burgermeister or whatever? All the time.
Yeah, the name tax doesn't necessarily always have to be that it's coming from, what we know as taxes. Any sort of, arbitrary, taking of money from one source or another can be looked upon as taxes.
Oh, so piracy is taxes.
Yeah, of a sort.
If you're a privateer,
taxing.
No. If you're a pirate, you're practicing piracy. Those are taxes.
I would classify that as theft.
Yeah.
That's not.
Think about the pirate cruise. Like the captain got a certain percent.
Finishing that sentence.
Got a certain percent. Everybody else got something else.
Taxation is theft, damn you.
Okay, we had it actually on the show. Thank you, Justin.
I'm a free man traveling on the free road.
Well, here's what it comes down to is when your players get high enough level, they're the ones levying the taxes because they have to pay off everything unless they get a huge hoard of gold from a dragon. But again, what you're talking about is money sinks. That's what
Crafty, you're awful quiet.
Money sinks.
You there?
Who?
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's just so much happening. It's like, what do I have to say?
Think of this. You just got
that's why
2
it's helpful
tons
to be on camera. That way, we could do the hand wave thing, or
you just
think of this. You just got 2 tons of gold from your adventure, right? It has no value unless you could spend it in some way.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So like if you're ostracized from a kingdom or a people's or whatever, it's just metal. Just sitting there. It's worthless shit.
Hey, Brian, I don't disagree with you on that, but who's paying the real taxes? You're not paying the taxes. It's the poor merchants that are paying the taxes. But yes.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of it that's coming into it also is inflation. Inflation is a tax by just a different name.
Yeah.
How about we move on to
actual
something a little bit more fun?
Before I forget,
we've hit on the bow. We've hit on taxes. We've
hit on tax evasion. That's what it really comes down to. It's seedy side.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm pro tax evasion. That's what the black market is for. The purpose of the black market is so you're not paying the taxes.
That's it.
Or you're getting goods that you can't get normally.
To, Al.
Yeah.
Guys, black market.
Yeah.
Yes. What about it?
That is just begging to entice the players into an endless cornucopia of all kinds of activities and merchandise.
Look, I can get this neural chip on the black market. It's a third of the cost. But
have you guys ever, as DMs, do you ever levy the fear of being caught when you deal in black markets? Is there ever like
Oh, absolutely.
because I never see that. I never see where like, oh, we're in a black market, but there's never like a force pitted against you. You know, the lawful force. It's
Yeah,
rare.
absolutely.
I don't know.
There should always be items that are contraband, illegal, or
Traceable.
counterfeit, or
traceable.
Yeah.
Like they got low
how about we go around the circle and everybody give us like one of their favorite examples of a contraband or black market item or service they'd like to see more of in sci-fi. And I'm going to start with you, Crafty. You've been so quiet and polite.
Yeah. As odd as it may sound, what I'd like to see is more of the unusual, like, as I do sci-fi fantasy sometimes, some more of the like hitting black market items like I know you don't see it in Palladium, but I'd love to see, like, for example, you can get an airbrush that allows you to paint on a door and you can walk through a wall. But that would obviously be a very prohibitive item.
Yeah,
like god level like artifact kind of stuff.
A phase generator or something.
There was actually some paint in Dungeons and Dragons First Edition Dungeon Master's Guide, Nalzur's Marvelous Pigments. You could literally do the Roadrunner, freaking paint a tunnel on a wall. I'm not even joking. That's where it had to have come from. But you could do exactly what Crafton said and what the Roadrunner would do. He'd go through the freaking tunnel, Coyote, bam, smashed his head.
Yeah.
How about you, Omen?
Oh, you want to, well, I've got several things, but we've hit them all. But I just like, the contraband, I guess you call it like the Johnny Mnemonic information.
Yeah.
Information
is one of those things that I love having the contraband for, because that gives players power, but it's very disposable. And unlike other things, if you have guess who we found out?
It's a world builder too.
It's what?
It's a world builder.
Yeah, but the information is like, guess who we found out is sleeping with so and so, or has that dark history. That currency of information.
Well, the most
you're never quite sure what's there, and it's perishable, because if that person dies, it's no longer useful.
The most common thing you'd find in a black market is credit card numbers or.
But he asked our favorite, not what's commonly there. He asked what our favorite is, and for me, it's the currency of information.
Yeah, blackmail information.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about you, Brian?
I mean, it's not what I want to see, but I think that something that is like some type of slavery. I think.
Yeah. Kakarot.
I think that motivation it's good for a good party, and it's a good motivation for evil, because it's the power, it's the control on the evil side, and then it's the the freedom fighting and the rescuing of those downtrodden for the good side. I think the slavery per se is often only kind of depicted in like people are going to die if this doesn't happen, instead of being like forced into servitude with a lifetime of horror instead of just an instance. I think it's a noble thing to fight against, and it's a realistic motivation for evil to do it.
Yeah. Every superpower on the planet has benefited from it at one time or another.
True.
How about you? Sorry. Were you done?
I was just saying, even individuals, the manipulation. I mean, slavery doesn't necessarily have to be people in chains, but like mental slavery, or even like using people, controlling them without their knowledge, or forcing your will on others. I mean, the slavery is on a lot of different levels.
How about you, Justin?
Well, I jokingly said cat girls, but that's in the vein of what Brian said. I'd say like exotic and offbeat technologies, things that are
maybe even alien technology that that the local government hasn't been able to monopolize, like Bo said earlier, make it their own yet, and with alien technologies you could have lots of different ways to manufacture it from the aliens, but humans have no idea how the hell it's done. But you slap one of these gizmos on and suddenly you can do stuff that's
I think that's what the Crafty Gamer was touching in on. It's like stuff that is so powerful that like people in charge cannot let people have it because they would lose total control.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I remember in Total Recall 2070, there was this thing that was allowing this guy to take over androids and turn them into assassins.
Yeah, that would be brutal.
Yeah.
And that could lead you in all kinds of different directions.
You got just like some random maintenance droid down in Subsector 7 that's now looking for someone to kill.
Or someone specific.
Yeah.
And make it look like, an accident or even if they track
it,
to the hack, they won't find the hacker because he's long gone.
Yeah.
The big no-no, and you guys seen Runaway with Tom Selleck?
Oh yeah.
Where Gene Simmons. Oh, that's fantastic.
Hey, you know what? I like the movie except one thing. One thing was awful
cheesy.
About the movie. I mean, it was cheesy, but it wasn't a bad movie except for one thing.
What?
Yeah.
The kiss at the end. You could just tell these two people did not like each other. There was there was literally a void of chemistry, and then the director goes and kiss. And they're just like,
But like the technology of heat-seeking bullets.
That was
the government
awesome.
would never they would completely subdue that. But just think of that tech. That would be something wanted by anybody and everybody.
I mean, everybody. I mean, you're hunting. You splash the freaking deer
and off-bore round.
Now that thing is going to chase that deer. Go ahead. Keep running, deer. I'm going to get you. For me, I want to go as dark as I can think of right now for the black market item.
Children.
No.
You said as dark as you could get. I was like,
I can't get that dark. I can't get that dark.
All right, well,
that reminds me.
Almost black market organ harvesting.
That's pretty bad.
Okay, I mean, think about it. You got the bastards who go get it, then you got the bastards who transport it, then you got the bastards who sell it, and then you got the SOB that's going to implant it in somebody. You got a whole freaking.
And then you got the client that's a bastard to buy someone else's fucking organ.
I just rewatched Batchy's series Spice City. There was an episode about that. You should watch it. It's pretty good.
I'm just thinking that.
Send me a link or something. My list is getting freaking long.
X-File had a couple good episodes like that where they're like, organ hosters and organ
there's a whole
monsters
movie
that would eat certain things.
What was that called? The Island or something like that?
Okay.
The Island was good. The Island was good.
I don't believe we've met, but dang, dude.
All right.
What's your channel, man? I'll watch it later. Clone humans, grandma. Children organs for rich people, think of how dark that is, and the players might be any one of those guys along that railroad of misery, or they may be the customers, or maybe
they're the guy that drives the car and realizes what's happening.
Right.
Some shit,
or maybe the player is the customer and then realizes, oh my God, I'm walking around with so-and-so's lungs or whatever. Sorry, Parzival. I can't send you the link. I'm actually expecting somebody else to come in. But maybe next time.
But you know what the other one is that you're going to talk about it, which is almost very similar. And let's talk about, not that this is best, but Alien Resurrection, where they were bringing in people that were, basically hosts for the alien.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, we need more people to test on. Let's bring them in. And those are things like that. But yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean that even in our real society, the Tuskegee, experiments with syphilis and all that shit.
well, Tuskegee was a little different by my understanding, but
But you know what I
they
mean.
heal people.
In
Yeah.
jest,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
general.
we're telling all lies about that.
Well,
here's another thing I was thinking about. Okay, how many times in a game, right, in a fantasy game, have the players been basically hired to go kill like people, whether they be orcs, kobolds, or whatever's living in that
Tech
cave,
Lord
right?
or whatever.
Well,
Tech Lord. This is a freaking great series.
in sci-fi, how many times and how many different ways can the players be basically hired to snuff so and so out? The whole mission is go in and ice this dude. Cyberpunk does it. Traveler does it. I don't think Star Frontiers really went that dark, but
I mean, it
depends on what the players want. When
Yeah,
people talk about this, you can. The problem I have with Cyberpunk or Shadowrun is they're like, well, you're going to take this job that's complete nothing money, but we're going to put things in real dollars. I'm like, you know what? They'll pay $500,000 to whack someone who's just kind of weird, like some guy's wife. And yet in Shadowrun, for me to take out like the mayor, I have to go pay. I get paid like $5,000. Like, get real,
Yeah,
right.
Those price scales should be the other way around.
Yeah, the money that gets paid, because everybody knows the first rule of the assassin is what?
Never get caught.
No.
Kill the assassin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. You can offer them $1 billion. And when they come to collect, because they've done the job, you go, here's your briefcase, and the briefcase freaking blows up. Or shoots them with Smilex gas or whatever.
Smilex.
Right? I mean.
Okay, Joker.
Sorry. I just wanted to really get, that image out there for everybody. I mean, think about it.
Did you watch did you watch the Legion of Myth live stream last night?
No, I was in a game.
I kept quoting the main guy we were talking about as looking like someone injected him with Joker serum.
Oh,
that ridiculous smile.
Chris Perkins.
Well, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Well, two things. One, World War II. I found two things on Facebook. One of them was private. One of them was open for Weird World War II stuff on Facebook. Which one's yours?
Private or open? Mine's an open one. It's an open group.
Okay, well, I only found two groups, so.
And if your character was one of these, hitmen, where would he hang out? You know what I mean? Maybe
it's all Deadpool. It's just like Deadpool when they all hang out at the bar. Where they put down the big list,
right? Which should be in some seedy part of the spaceport, so they can get the heck out of Dodge if they need to, or into the sewers or wherever it is they.
I mean, so let's talk about that. You brought up a really cool thing. Okay, like, can a spaceship actually escape a spaceport without just missiles shooting it down, or you know what I mean? I mean, just the actual it
really should not
reality
happen.
of it.
It should not happen. That scene from Star Wars should have been like a no-go when they were leaving the spaceport in the very first Star Wars movie.
That would be like a motorboat escaping a cove to a big what? It's just ridiculous because
most ports don't have a lot of defenses on them either. To be fair,
dude, come on now. You're talking a militarized port, which it was.
Most ports aren't militarized, though. It's the whole point.
No, but the Imperium was there. They were fucking there. There's
Star Destroyers but in it's orbit. Not an Imperial port. It is.
I know, but there's Star Destroyers in orbit.
Yes.
You're telling me that it's beyond human comprehension that they have a combat, flight patrol flying around with missile boats and all that shit, and just it's ridiculous. Yeah, but it's just
they weren't after that ship. They didn't know it was him, right? I don't remember the scene. I remember them fleeing, but weren't they after the hut?
No. The hut was after. There's a lot of stuff, but for smugglers, the whole thing is like, hey, prevent them from leaving, and most, whether people realize it or not, most ships don't have warp drives, or interstellar.
Yeah.
That's the other part. If you look at Traveler, like most things, and there are some instances where it does happen, but even in modern day, your odds of having a freighter disappear are are so small unless they are being supported by another government that allows them to switch stuff over.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the Millennium Falcon is it could change its transponder.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the other thing that comes into it, I think, is here's what gets me about it. Despite having pirates in the real world, most ships are not armed, or the very few times they'll have a couple of guns out there, and it's because none of the governments want any ships to be armed.
Yeah.
So, well, wait a minute. Why are you allowing this in the first place? It's just like Somalia with all the pirates. Guess what? It's left and right with no problem. They just choose not to. And why do they choose to do that? Because they want an excuse to have an Imperial Navy out there, or whatever Navy out there. I mean, that's what a lot of this comes down to.
Just think how hard it would be to
protect the
with your own private airplane, try to leave the airport if you were, being chased by the cops as you're trying to get into your airplane.
It happens. It happens.
How far would you get before you'd be tracked down? You know what I mean? Like an hour.
Alderaan.
I know I haven't been on for very long, but my dinner just finished, so I'm gonna bounce for the night.
Okay. All right, have a good night.
Okay, man.
Talk to you later.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, dude. Be sure to get on the group, dude.
Oh, did you see my my Mac for your challenge?
Yes, I did. That is awesome. I was actually expecting to be on longer because I expected dinner to take longer, but nope.
I just need to find a good set of or place to get some World War II decals, and I'm good to go.
eBay.
Yeah,
I looked on eBay. Yeah, I looked on eBay for my Nazi ones, and I found them really quick for a decent price too.
Yeah,
tons of decals on eBay, dude.
Yeah,
but I mean, if you look at it as can you take off from an ungrassed airfield? Yes, that's basically Mos Eisley. Now the question is, how long does it take to get you? That's a separate issue. But
can you take off? Can you take off? See you later, man. Can you take off a Mos Eisley when there's Imperial patrols, Star Destroyer above you? The sky is full.
If they're looking for transponder code 1952 and your transponder code switches to 384,
but that's not what happened. Remember, there was a shootout in the bay with people that have radios.
And how fast does it take for them to get there? They don't, what they do is they have ships up in space, and part of it goes, well, why wouldn't you just go around the, an elliptical orbit to evade them? It's not that hard to get off the ground. The problem is it's kind of hard to keep running for a long time. And then how far did they make it? They made it to Alderaan, and then they got captured.
Yeah.
They got pelted by a bunch of rocks.
Someone checked the records, saw a transponder switched, and started looking for that code instead.
And how many times did Han Solo get boarded? Let's be honest, he got boarded, and that was part of the reason that the Hutt wanted him.
Yeah.
Pizza the Hutt.
Yes.
The best Hutt.
He ate himself.
Pizza. If I was pizza, I'd eat myself too, bro.
What's that?
What else did you have on your list?
Oh, I think I was kind of thinking of the idea. I wasn't sure exactly how you were framing the conversation. I was thinking of just really bad, morally repugnant type of movies, kind of shit. But but no, I mean, sci-fi. It should be.
There's the whole wretched line of game books. There are people out there that want to, escape. I mean, let's face it. This is an escapist game, and some people's version of escape is better that they do it in a game than try to go score some freaking weird shit downtown LA. Trust me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, space pirates. Let's not forget space pirates.
Space
Yep.
Pirates.
Ice pirates is what I mean.
Yeah, Ice Pirates.
Ice
Yeah.
Pirates. Yeah, that's great.
Yes, that's because remembered how they were going through this. But that's also one of the reason that people want to play these games as well, as you're going to, because I hate saying this, and it's the absolute truth. If you're under military structure, there's too much structure. The players have very limited ability to do anything. And I'm not sure that anyone really wants to play that in real life.
For me, it's actually, I enjoy it because I couldn't do it. I was doing other stuff that was pretty hairy, but I couldn't be away because my parents were, both in wheelchairs, and I was the only family alive, basically, that could literally help them, that would help them at their beck and call. I mean, I was gone for months at a time, and I'd come back and things were not good.
Sure.
But being able to experience certain aspects of that would in gaming, I do tend toward military characters or martial characters or things like that, because I know that way better than I know this freaking hobby gobby shit. You know what I mean?
Well,
Even though I've studied that too.
Well,
Hobby Gobby.
Abracadabra,
Oh, magic shit. Okay.
this is why you have
or the rogue
contractors.
stuff, which I know way too much about.
Well, but
I don't
this is why
like
you have
doing it.
contractors. But the actual military constrains you so much in things, which
Sure.
kind of leaves you that it doesn't leave the players many options to actually choose the things
No, but
that's going to get to a high level.
Think about like Traveler's a great example. You get the experience, of playing the character who's done all that stuff and now takes that stuff and goes freelance.
Well,
You know what I mean? That the whole game is
I don't
based on
disagree with
that.
but that's not military. You're now a freelancer or a
Right,
contractor or a mercenary.
Right.
That's why I said I don't like the military camp. This is the other reason why, if we're going to talk about clandestine, seedy underworld, this is why you do the CIA agent. You do the top secret kind of stuff, because
Mhm.
they're like,
Well, that's
just
true.
get the job done. That's all they
Mhm.
care about. You don't have to worry about requisition. You're kind of on your own, and that's where
Everything's
extent.
expendable.
And don't you worry, Omen. I am going to be doing a huge deep dive into Top Secret right after Christmas, the New Year. That's how I'm going to start it out with, because I've got literally almost everything. I think there's like one or two Top Secret products I do not have, and that was one of my favorite games that I rarely got to freaking play. That game was so much fun, and in an even more modern setting like now, oh my God, the sky is the freaking limit.
Top Secret. That's the one where you're the team
You're a
of
spy.
assembled people.
you're basically 007 in Top Secret.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
thinking of a
what.
different one.
Top Secret was, well, to me, the best time to do it is generally in that 70s time frame, because
I know. The
Yeah.
70s, 80s would have been a great time to be a spy. I think that's
I don't know, man. I played with the toys today.
and I get it, but
I would hate to be constrained with the crap that they had back then.
Well, that's what made it
that's why
even
there
more
were
fun.
so many great comedies of spies in that era. You know what I mean? Think about it. Get Smart. What was the other one?
Shoot, hold on.
Well, see, here's the problem in the more modern
The cone
stuff.
of silence, motherfucker.
Well,
Right.
no, as you get more and more modern, your ability to be anonymous drops dramatically,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
the real problem with being a spy.
Yeah, the whole gate technology, gate scanning, see how you walk and whatnot. I was
Yeah.
actually in more or less a class to teach you how to bypass that, and it's
It
really
doesn't work. It does not work.
oh well. I'm not going to tell you about it here on camera, but believe it or not, there are some really simple ways that can bypass that.
No. They've come past
Speaking
that,
of which, did you ever see in what the Marines did to beat the AI that they had? One of them put literally a trash can over himself, and it could no longer identify you as a human being. So they were able to literally walk right up to the robot.
Orc technology for the win.
Yeah.
It was even worse because one of them started doing cartwheels, and it couldn't identify that as a human being doing cartwheels. So they literally could cartwheel over to the robot. You say these things, but a lot of times there's things that we take for granted. They have to program that in, and it's not so good.
Yeah.
If anyone talks about AI, until AI can actually do a decent triceratops and not a 3-horned rhinoceros,
Right.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go back.
I'm just saying the most accurate depiction of AI in combat robots ever in film is Ed 209.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, when the combat scene was cool. The beginning, I agree though.
Yeah.
I want to
You
go
were saying,
back
Shadow?
to something that we barely touched on, but is, in my experience, one of the most likely seedy kind of character evolutions that I see almost every time. And if it's not
Oh, sorry
done,
about
it's at
that.
least contemplated. And that's good old fashioned space piracy.
Yeah.
That is like everybody wants to do it.
Oh, there
You
was.
know what I mean? Every group of Traveler and Star Frontiers characters I've ever gamed with, it's like, let's be pirates. And then they're like, maybe not.
Well, see, I didn't like being a pirate myself. I kind of liked being the that to me is where it's a little bit more fun. Fun is whenever you're a what's it called,
There was a book.
a warden, basically like a road warden in space.
Mode.
You know, you're traveling from place to place and they're trying to hunt down the pirates. But you had the
Like a privateer.
well, no. Privateer's a little different. Privateer is very different. But you're more of the cop. You're basically the space patrol, but
Or a space marshal.
yeah, space marshal is a better phrase. But
I've done that. That's a lot of fun. That is a lot.
Marshall's good.
because you have the independence to go around, but you also have the support of
Kind
Like
of
an
like a
Inquisitor.
bounty hunter.
bounty hunters work out really well too.
Well, what do you do as a space pirate? Raid facility, raid ship, raid facility, sell slaves.
I still don't believe that like individuals could steal a ship and maintain it flying in the fucking cosmos.
Well,
I think it's just too
Well,
expensive.
that's
How do you-
one of the things that they talk about. That if you're like mid-tier technology, yeah, it's going to be way too expensive to do it selling crap. But if you've got like self-replicating machines and shit like that,
well, not just that. If you look at it like an old Mission Impossible, you get the team together and you got all the experts who can, then modify the ship from the inside and potentially the outside, and then they go and they grab that ship. And then once they got that ship, then they go and
Well,
grab other ships and just take their stuff.
here's
But
the
isn't
other
it like
part.
Mary Sue though? It's like all of a sudden a cybertronic expert,
no,
a
you
laser
capture them and
missile
use them.
guy.
You should know these people
You
before you
need
start
team
doing your own
together, Justin,
piracy.
I think, right?
That's the difference, I think, for everyone's acting like we all start at first level instead of saying, you know what, you spent the last 15 years making all these contacts, you finally decided to go on your own. The other thing is that you also have pirate bases. A perfect example, which people forget about, is if you ever look at EVE Online, they have zero sector where the government can't do anything. And then what happens is these clans effectively create their own
Pseudo governments.
Yeah, their own pseudo government. So, player characters that are going in their ships, they'll say, hey, you have to pay a toll on us, otherwise we won't let you pass. And then they have the massive
Taxes
battles.
again, huh?
Taxes.
Yeah, taxes. Those are taxes. Harbor
I
taxes.
didn't say that those weren't tax. Well, those are tolls.
I'm just giving you shit, Owen.
Taxes.
Yeah, we all are.
Well, no. I don't disagree with that. That's the problem that I have with certain things. But again, if you come in with the biggest, baddest battleship, everyone just simply stays away from you. And it's like, well, those big boys don't have to pay. And in some cases, and this is why I like to mention the Barbary Pirates, the Barbary Pirates were paid intentionally to keep out other people from being able to trade. That's why when the United States said we're not paying for it, that was a huge disruption.
Now, here's the thing. The pirate harbors, those would be heavily armed.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're pirate harbors.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly.
They expect people to try
But
to
think
skip
about
out on their
think
gun.
about that pirate crew. I always wanted to do this. They grab a ship and they take all the stuff, and then they find something on that ship that's so freaking mind-bendingly like sought after. Everybody wants that thing. Whatever the MacGuffin is. Plans to the Death Star or something that now
Some
because they have
government's
it,
moving
they
an
become
alien
so
corpse.
marked. They wish they would have never hit that ship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they they raid the Mexican space convoy, and it's moving the gray mummy.
Well, you know what happened? What happened just a few months ago? Remember the trio went down to Mexico to get some sort of like operation done, and the cartel thought they were a rival gang. They blew those Americans away, and what did they do? They gave up all those guys that did that as an offering to the U.S. government, so they didn't come down and just blow the shit out of everything.
There's that. The other one is, if we're going to mention, Firefly and River and the Doctor. That's the whole thing of, it's, you're wanted. And it's like, okay, well, we have to find this one person that's wanted in the entire, Federation. And you just like, keep my nose clean. And that's part of the reason that Firefly was fun.
Yeah, because they had to stay under the radar. With other criminal activities. So it was making it harder for them to pay off repair bills.
Right. And everybody was looking for him. Literally everybody was looking for him.
Yeah.
That culminated in the movie, of them finally being able to, kind of clear their whole, wanted status. I mean, that was, it was really nice.
I don't think they really cleared their wanted status. They just started a civil war.
Well, I don't think anybody was really looking for him after that because of, what they had, shown. It's like, it was just too. They were so well known that everybody would know that they were only being gone after as sort of a shitty version of revenge.
Well, here's the other part. Is again, it comes down to information is perishable. The information they were going to hide with River was now public, and because that was public, they no longer had any use. So I think that's the other thing that's why I said I love information, because information is only valuable if everyone doesn't know it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that works in any game, fantasy all the way up to, science fiction, the whole, forbidding people to read sort of concept. And as soon as everybody knows how to read, well, it's too late now. What are we going to do? Oh, I guess we're going to print more books. We'll make money that way.
You don't need the readers anymore.
Stop your Dark Sun stuff again. No.
You're too harsh on that system, bro.
Actually,
not hard enough.
Yeah, that's right. But no, I think that's part of the thing that comes into it. But when you have these vast empty spaces, and then you go into the pirate, sectors, and that the same thing applied even in BattleTech. Remember they had on the frontier, and it's like, well, okay, now you got a bandit kingdom. That's your, they didn't want to. That bandit kingdom doesn't want to screw with, the big successor houses, but the successor houses couldn't do crap out there. So they're like, all right, we'll let you do some of your things in there. You just don't screw with ours. But that, to be fair on that, is those make great things for the games, and if you really piss someone off, then of course they send bounty hunters after you, and bounty hunters operate in that quasi-legal area, which is what makes them fun.
Thanks, Grandma. Yeah, you too, Al. There's nothing like having the characters being, like hunted, especially if you can really get like, come up with either a team or a particular bounty hunter or bad guy that's actually the good guy hunting them because of their shady stuff, but they keep bumping into this guy and barely getting away, or this, this kill team that's hunting them down. Some of my favorite games, one of my longest running games was like a 20-year campaign where the players were being hunted from day one all the way until the last game we played together. That's all it was. They were everywhere they turned. Everybody was looking for them. Everybody was hunting them, and they never had more fun. They literally said it was their favorite game that I had run, because it was so hard. I never let up, and every time, I would throw people, at them. It was always something new, but that sort of breakneck pace of never being able to rest, long, and always having to look over your shoulder, do not discount that whatever game you're running, as soon as the players are being hunted, they're in for the time of their lives. Believe it or not, they will love that crap.
You talk about like being a bounty hunter or on the edge of government and legal, like what was the word where you have a license to be a pirate? Privateer.
The privateer has letters of marque.
Keep them coming out. Don't even sweat it, man.
Yeah. I was thinking that there's a novel series by Elizabeth Moon called Vada's War, which is a good series. You might want to mine for ideas if you're doing that kind of thing, because there's a lot of tropes that I see that are left out.
I'm going to mention one. I'm going to mention one other thing is you know, when you talk about bounties, by having a bounty, it creates players paranoia without actually having to bring everything in.
All right.
You know,
What the hell?
What?
Tony Frosted Flakes asked if we can take our shirts off.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's kind of chilly out here, and I don't want to get any
money
more excited.
Yeah. Super chat, super chat, $100 to each of us.
I'll go 50.
Oh yeah, I'll go 50. Wait, we're going. So,
just come on back when I've hit 1,000 subs, and you know.
Hey, Al. The problem is that we have too many crime families. Yeah.
I remember when I was running some Twilight 2000 campaigns back in the day. We all I did is, and the guys they never picked up on this. I just replayed the that week's episode of the A Team in game. You know, I would just use the A Team story and put it into the Twilight 2000 world, and that would be their mission to do whatever the A Team did that week. It was great.
How many of us have done that? Literally, how many of us have
get a gold star?
Borrowed something from like a regular thing, and nobody ever caught on.
Yeah,
I do it a lot.
What?
Because if it's a good story, it's a good story. You know, shit.
It's the A Team. You can't say it's a good story. You can say it's a story.
Man. It's fantastic.
Hey! You know what though? It's
there are lines.
How realistic of a game do you want? Because a lot of times I want to play pulp, and let's go all the way. You know, balls to the wall. Let's So yeah,
but awesome and great are two different meanings there.
Which one? Balls out. Balls out applies to Steam.
No, awesome. Grandma's comment.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, man.
I agree.
Heck yeah, Grandma. Rocking.
You know, that's the other part that I think sometimes comes into it is, and I know that everyone talks about domain level play. When you start playing domain level play, you really need to have the player. You're almost playing a war game at that point.
This domain level play. What's that mean?
Where you have like a base and shit like that.
No. It means when you're starting to fight wars and crap like that. When you've got, it's more of, imagine having an armada, and it's rather than instead of one ship, you now have an armada. So
Gotcha.
Or a kingdom that you're trying to expand, or a star system that you're trying to develop. You know, any time where your characters are actually sending their flunkies out to do more of the work than themselves are actually, you know, they're sending out, you know, henchmen and troops and things like that to do all the stuff that you know they're getting kind of too old to do. Maybe
it's the difference. It's the difference between eating a pizza pocket and buying a pizza restaurant.
I'm going to mention this.
I don't understand.
Which is
that's the point.
I'm going to bring up 40K, and if you are playing Rogue Trader, then it's like, okay, what's the CD side? It's like everything's CD, and then you can have, because the ships have like 100,000 people on them. Then you have the lower class CD aspect to all of it. And speaking of which, we're going to talk about CD side. Let's not forget about chaos influences.
That's more like demonic, though.
Yeah. Well, it could be alien possession in your world,
Yeah.
right? Like
Same thing. Yeah,
fucking
demons.
parasites, or like the creep, the Night of the Creeps.
Oh, I love
You
that
know.
shit.
Yeah. Great film.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to call it retarded. L. Some people actually want that, and a lot of times, that I've done it, the role playing was still there.
The role playing becomes more political and trying to do stuff like that. So you're much more in a civilized environment, which sounds funny.
For me, it was actually kind of fun to watch my players, sit around the table, pretending, to be the movers and shakers of the kingdom, whatever that kingdom or place was, and telling, giving out orders and things like that. It was actually kind of,
I think it's fun if there's a point in it that you knock those players back down to the point of having to do shit themselves.
I disagree with that. I think that in many cases is you're starting to look at, all of a sudden you're dealing with a whole different social strata. You're not worried about the guy at the bottom. You know what? You guys go take, whatever dungeon or whatever you want to call it. But now you're at this higher level of, let's talk about the discussion. You're at the Dune level effectively. Yeah, the domain is Dune when you're starting to play among the houses rather than trying to play as the there's
definitely the G in there, L. And for me, I'm going to be honest. As a a war gamer, I like to do it so that I can actually kind of coerce my players into actually playing a war game to simulate the orders that they had given. Okay, now let's play it out and roll the dice for the the troops fighting the other troops, and seeing if their sneaky tactics would work and that kind of thing, and slowly kind of, I know it's a little selfish, but I had a lot of war games and a lot of players, but most of them didn't want to do it, and if that makes me a bad GM, cool.
You're a bad GM, damn you.
No, at the end of the day, if people forget about this, is everyone has to have fun, otherwise the game is going to die.
Right.
Yeah. Bro, I also think you're a little too hard on Scooter sometimes. He deserves it, but
it's funny that everybody knows who he's talking about, which is weird, because I would just use his name, but I haven't heard from him. I haven't seen any of his videos because they all lately seem to be, not something I'm interested in. I'll still watch his videos if it's, mildly entertaining, but I'm not a Skyrim dude. I played it for a while, and when they started wanting more money just to keep playing and then when I didn't pay, I couldn't actually play the stuff that I'd already paid for. I'm like, done.
I just get all the naughty mods, and that's how I play Skyrim.
You're
a bigger horn dog than I am, which is like wrong.
Thank you.
I will say this much, and I know that Shadow was mentioning this earlier about some of the dark aspects. That's one of the things I did like about the Witcher universe was nothing was kind of off limits there.
Yeah.
That was more of a dark fantasy kind of thing.
Yeah. I like when my evil is actually doing evil things and not a fucking magic tree.
Hey.
I didn't see that, L, and it doesn't surprise me at all. I'm in a game with Bloodworth every Tuesday night, and it's a great game. When we actually alternate between first edition AD&D and Castles and Crusades, and he runs a good game. Not the best game I've ever been in, but so way far above the worst game I've ever been in.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I'm playing OSC right now, and despite what everyone says, BX is a lot tougher than AD&D.
Well, it depends on who your game master is.
Yeah. That's very subjective. I think
for basic rules, if you compare rule by rule, BX is more dangerous.
What's BX?
Basic expert.
What was it?
It's basically the old red and blue box from.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
From D&D. because everyone has less hit points. Everything has
Yeah.
less armor class. Oh, it's
But so do the monsters.
well, but I can say this much. Boy, you can just be taken out super fast.
You're not wrong there. I did notice that but at the same time though, it allows for higher level gameplay, as in actual higher levels. AD&D didn't really ever think you were ever going to get to like 20th level, but BX is like, yeah, you're going to go past 20th level. Don't even worry about it. Which subliminally to me encouraged the GMs to kind of like, nursemaid them to get past 10th level. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, having played it, holy crap! It's like, guys, everything's dangerous. But yeah, it was but you have a lot less hit points. It makes a big difference.
In a world that is not tamed as much as our modern world is, everything is dangerous.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean,
hey, that's part of the reason I like Warhammer Fantasy.
just the food that you eat kill you.
Yeah. Let's face it. Mother Nature is a biatch, and everything out there wants to kill you. In the real world or the fake world, Mother Nature does not like you.
In the old world, everywhere was Australia.
Yeah.
Well, it's here's the funny thing, which everyone forgets about. No one actually wants to play. Is most of your soldiers would be dying of dysentery and starvation.
The
Infection.
most common form of death in war before the modern age was typhus.
If anyone watched, let's not forget the dysentery stuff from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And The Watch.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, Mar. And welcome to the show, Mar. Long time no see.
Typhoid fever will kill your ass faster than you can say boo.
I don't know. I've seen some of the things Mother Nature created. I think she's holding a grudge from way back.
And I think that sometimes what everyone forgets about is like, oh, it's safe to go over here. And you're like, everything was dangerous.
When Mother Nature wants a reboot, dude, we're all dead.
Well,
right. I think she's just
nothing gonna stop her. Nothing gonna stop her.
Well, that's why I always hate this. We're destroying Mother Nature. I'm like, you can't destroy the environment. You can alter it, you can change it, but you can't destroy the environment.
Whoa, Omen! You just watched the movie. We get the big gun, and then Mother Nature can kiss her scrawny ass goodbye.
The only
I want that big gun. And it's like,
I want my black hole gun. Yes, so
it's not even a gun.
Actually, that was one of the little series I used to like as a kid. I forgot what it was. You were kind of playing this space marshal. It was like choose your own adventure, but then it had little games inside of there. And
I have no idea.
Yeah, I remember that. I wanted to get it, but then I looked at it and I'm like, I don't know if I'm actually going to get around to it. Space Marshal, it's like an app game, right?
It was. I don't remember what it was called, but it was kind of like you play a space marshal, and they would give you different things. And one of them, you had to go get these people that were basically using a black hole gun to turn planets into marbles. So
so like he's talking about mountain lions. Those things are freaking. I mean, it is a catch-all phrase for like various big cats that are not like tigers and shit, but like bobcats and
right. I got
cougars.
Now replace your smoke detector battery, bro.
No. That is not the smoke detector. That is
the microwave.
Yep. Which reminds me of
yeah, but it's still funnier to say sure.
It absolutely is. And I got to admit that was one of the things that irritated Shauna the most. And you know what was weird is I went through my house and I would put a fresh battery in the smoke detector, and it would still keep beeping.
Yep.
There was something going on with my house, so I just took that particular smoke detector and I covered it
in a baseball bat.
No, I covered it in an entire roll of duct tape.
My microwave just died.
Why didn't you just remove it?
Because it still beeped.
I mean, stop
from inside the ceiling.
Oh,
I don't know what was going on, but I finally got it to shut up, and so
we in our apartment we have one at the bottom of the stairs and one in the upstairs hallway. They're like
Microwave?
smoke detector.
Oh, I was like, what the hell?
I have a microwave in my office and one in the kitchen. I'm less than 5 feet from one right now.
you really are in a hurry to eat always.
Me? No. This one up here is for putties and clays. And
I gotta go buy another microwave, son of a.
yeah.
I feel you. I had. Did I tell you, Omen? I went to the library and I managed to find a copy of the Lego Batman movie.
Yes.
I got it for $1 and a bunch of other books at the library. They absolutely have no respect for books at my local library.
No, they need to replace. They offload for $1.
Well, I mean, 50 cents for a brand new paperback, $1 for a hardback. I'm like, yeah, I wanted to take them all. I just couldn't carry them all. But I got home with the DVD, put it in my DVD player, and my DVD player did not work. So I spent the afternoon getting a new DVD player because I almost threw it across the room. I was so pissed because I had just bought Logan's Run and the Batman movie, and I was going to settle down for an afternoon of some quality entertainment, and none of my DVDs work.
Does your laptop have a CD player?
They don't make those anymore.
Actually, I bought a I bought a.
You can get an external one.
Yeah. I bought an external Blu-ray that will play both the DVDs and the Blu-rays.
Yeah, but gone are the days where you could carry around a laptop that has got it built in.
I know.
Yeah,
true. Asinine.
And just run a cable over to your TV.
If I'm going to do that, then I'm going to actually use my big screen and watch the movie on the big screen with a bowl of popcorn. But if I want to, if I want to come out here and watch a movie, while I'm doing something else, having a cigarette or whatever, I can't do that shit.
I'm watching your ugly face on a 75-inch television right now.
Winning.
What he's really saying is that he misses human companionship and wants someone to pretend to be in the screen.
Dude, I have got 600 plus videos.
If I want human companionship, I'll just go downstairs.
But you're right, nerd. We have a Plex server. I don't. My buddy of mine, he's like a nut. He puts every movie ever created from like Hollywood to Bollywood. He's got it all, and it's just I haven't paid for television for fucking ever.
I know.
Access to all of it for free.
And Omen knows if I get to watch one movie a week, that's a busy movie watching week. I mean, I just don't have the time to sit for 2 hours just focusing.
It's a computer specifically for
do
video.
This, Shadow. Get on YouTube and look up horror shorts or like sci-fi short movies, like fan movies, short movies. Some of those are really fucking good. And
I've actually seen a couple. I saw one that had like a bunch of the people from Babylon 5, Bill Mummy and a couple other people in it. It was okay, but I'm like,
there's some good Star Trek stuff.
There is.
Like, there's some really good shit. The was it Star Trek Continues or there's like some of it, it's kind of cheesy, but man, they got heart. I mean, it's like it's real Star Trek.
You're not wrong, Al. You're not wrong.
But yeah, it's fun stuff.
And if I'm not on a stream, I'm on a live call or on a phone call. I really, it took me like how many weeks there, Omen, to read the freaking the Dark Sun rulebook? I mean,
hey, to be fair, you're looking at hundreds of pages. That doesn't bother me. You know how long it's taken me to read 100 pages in one of my books? I go like I can get 5 pages a night. Like whatever happened to me when I used to read 200 pages a day?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, last year I was reading almost a book a freaking day, and then I don't know what happened. Yeah, I miss it. I wish I could get my son to do that. I think he's read like 4 books in his life.
I fell asleep, dude. 15 minutes in.
Yep, exactly.
Me too, man. What the hell happened? What happened to us?
What you need to do is get like a taser, Every time you start to get a little
Like taser
tired.
tag.
Taser tag.
How the hell am
Are
I
you
going to know I'm
kidding?
falling asleep? I mean, I'm falling asleep.
You know what I found out the
You
problem is?
you put a little like you set it up so it's got like one of those neck things, so when your head starts to go a little sideways.
Brian, when I found out what the problem is, I was reading lying down. When I
Oh, you
started,
never do that.
Yeah,
You need a reading chair.
I'm in it. I'm in it right now.
You need a
My
reading
my
chair.
my
With a reading jacket and a reading pipe. And
A read outside.
yes,
Not
that's
very
what I'm doing now.
comfortable.
I've got my Ravenloft book right here under my laptop. I've been reading it every time I come out to have a cigarette or just watch a video. I'll be watching a video and I'm reading at the same time. And I guess my brain does that. What was that guy's name? Professor Farnsworth from freaking Futurama. If I go to a certain point, elevation, I'm out like a freaking light.
I have a bookshelf in my bathroom. That's where I get most of my reading.
Dude, you're not the only one. I'm actually thinking about knocking out the wall in the bathroom, and because it's like a 12-foot long wall in the bathroom, and I'm like, I'm just gonna put turn that into a bookshelf, and have like a 12-foot 5-row bookshelf. Just
I think Shadow would be a far better pundit than Pundit is.
Yeah, I watched one video from that guy, and he started, messing with people I like, and I'm like, really? Like about this? You're kidding, right? I mean, you've never met these people. You have no idea. You're just, throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks. And I'm like, sorry, dude. I've heard like great things about what he writes, but sorry, I'm not going to buy your books, man.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a better guy in person, or maybe it was a bad day. I don't know. But anyways, Brian, before we go, we talked, on Discord. There's one seedy element we really didn't talk about, and I think it actually it's a perfect way to end the show. The sex trade, sex
Slavery.
workers
Cackles
has been a thing. Even in my favorite show, Firefly, literally my favorite character was Inara. She was just so smoking hot, I couldn't pay attention to any of the
so I mean, not talking about sex slaves, but like, if you guys don't know,
whatever you want to call them, they've existed since the beginning of time.
Yeah. Well, in our sci-fi setting, right, that we're playing with Bo, I play a female, and everybody else is male.
Yay.
Right? Okay, whatever. But the thing is that
actually his character is gay.
There is no fucking way that Omen or Shadow or Bo or Cat are going to engage in a realistic fucking conversation with a woman who's supposed to be smoking hot. So I have to say, yeah, she's gay. She's not interested in anybody. I gotta save them from those awkward situations, and I do that I do that on purpose because I know it's going to make you guys uncomfortable if she were to do something like that. So you got to like self-govern yourself in your gaming. But like when we're talking about these seedy things, it doesn't necessarily have to be seedy. It's just sometimes you just need to know who you're gaming with and how far they're willing to go. You guys know I'll go all the fucking way off the cliff, down the ground, out.
He'll pull a full Thelma and Louise.
I'll go through the
and
whole
he'll play both
fucking
parts.
Yeah, I'll do it all, dude. But but you got you got to reel back sometimes, and when you deal with the seedy, you just got to know the people that you play with and see how far you can push it without they get
comfortable. I am going to highlight it. I don't know if anybody here actually watched the game I ran for Table Breakers. It was a traveler game on a resort planet in the future. The Ryza with all the dials turned up to 11 with these smoking hot male and female android sort of things. They weren't really androids, but that's what I called them. I was trying to get them to solve that like little mystery because it was kind of interesting, I thought at least. And I was able to, do a lot of the, insinuate a lot of things in that game without actually ever, other than Connell and embarrassing the shit out of him at the beginning because he's my little brother. And if I don't do that,
it's easy.
Do I really love the guy? So I had to mess with him. He wakes up his character wakes up and there's a freaking smoking hot android lady getting dressed, and if you watched it as a movie, you'd know or insinuate or come to the conclusion of what happened. But I didn't say anything happened. It could have just been a massage, right?
So like Mel, we're playing our Pathfinder campaign, and we have the night off, right? And Mel goes into town and parties, right? And she blacks out, whatever. A month later or something, she's feeling kind of awkward. She got pregnant that night, dude. She didn't know what happened. It happened.
If we're going to talk about this, let's not forget about Rick and Morty and Gwendolyn.
I don't watch
Gwendolyn.
Gwendolyn was the one he Gazapazorp or whatever. You need to see what it is because he goes, and the sex robot for my grandson.
Oh, the robot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's like, what, you named her Gwendolyn, and he's just like, I need more fluids.
That's a great. Well, that's not sci-fi. Gwendolyn.
It was a sex robot.
Yeah, it was the sex robot for Gazapazorp.
But that's another thing. It's like the sex trade doesn't necessarily have to be slavery. I mean, they're willing. There's sex workers out there, and so it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative connotation when you deal with it.
Sadly, there are no thongs on T Public.
They're just painted. Well, there are thongs. They're just painted silver because they're space thongs.
On my T-shirt shop, no.
Oh, and your
they're just not anatomically correct. They're just like Ken dolls downstairs.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are things that just need to be. I mean, everyone wants to talk about the seedy side, but some of it just comes down to. Anyone remember watching Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome?
Yeah.
Do you remember at the very beginning when he's trying to get into the town, and they said, "Well, maybe you can work as a prostitute," is what they said to Mad Max.
Yeah.
I mean, how many other sci-fi movies? Heavy Metal was full of all kinds of
But that's the thing, guys. It's part of life. Banging chicks.
Some would say the best part of life.
Getting drunk, doing drugs, being stupid.
Don't do drugs. Drugs bad.
Drugs bad.
It's part of our biological imperative, and to just throw that out the window. I've done many episodes on romance in RPGs, which
listen, that's something that's lacking. I mean, again, guys, it's not it's like me playing a chick is not a reflection of like, oh, I want to be a woman.
No,
it's just
you're
gay. Playing. No, whatever. But
his character is
big
gay.
geeky man guy. All that shit. It's good to do something different.
After a while, it becomes like almost like you're intentionally avoiding any sort of actual realism. In a game where there's nothing but dudes everywhere you look, other than the bard trying to hook up with everybody, which is retarded. But the converse of where like there's a natural NPCs that are hooking up with the players to maybe start the family, especially in like a D&D game where every character, it would be unnatural for them to not at some point in their life try to find their soulmate or whatever you want to call it for the story. I mean, that was
except elves, because every 7 years they have to go into that weird trance
thing. Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
I want to say one thing to Elle. I'm under the age of 50, so it's Taylor Swift, not Madonna. Okay.
You won the greatest chat of the night again.
You aged yourself on
I'm
that
gonna have to
one.
make this guy a trophy, man.
Yeah. It's got to be like Taylor Swift.
So Elle, my character in game, Christy Canyon. If you know who that is, that's who I'm playing as, Christy Canyon.
I don't know who that is.
You're showing your age, man.
Yes.
But no, it's like
you didn't say Felicia, otherwise I'd have been in trouble.
But the thing is, it's like, but that's a level. So you brought up romance, Shadow. That's a level of like role play that you will never fucking get out of strangers, out of men playing against men. You will never have. And again, it's not that it's what I'm seeking, but like if you have a group of people, men and women, fighting, for their lives, backing each other up.
Swift was a cat girl.
they're gonna form these relationships. So you're gonna have like the women in the party maybe hooking up with the dude in the party. It's natural to do that.
It's natural, and it completely destroys any kind of cohesion. This is why.
I disagree, Omen. I mean, especially if your characters are getting, to a point where like either the game's going to come to a close.
Sure.
Look at Sam and Lord of the Rings and Rosie. That was freaking awesome the way they did that. You know what I mean? He knew he was coming back to her, and then at the end they showed them living happily ever after. He got the greatest reward he could have ever gotten. All the riches that Aragorn could have bestowed on him would have meant nothing compared to that.
Because he came home a changed man too.
Right, and he went on to live a wonderful life as a incredibly well-traveled, brave guy who just wanted to come home and start a family like every single PC would want. We obviously there'd be exceptions, but it's like the natural biological imperative that nobody can escape without some serious hardcore meta gaming. It's like, no, I want to keep playing. I want to keep going in dungeons and adventuring and blah blah blah. It's just after a while, it's like you're trying to avoid the most obvious conclusion of any good character. What's better than being able to say, I did all these adventures, and at a certain point, I retired, had a family, and lived happily ever after.
Check this out. So, like, I put these limitations on my people because we were getting really high level characters. And what I did is I started to say like certain like spells, you started to become immune to them. Your body was starting to like, it didn't affect you. The magic, whatever. So, but what I did is I noted spells that they most often use, and these are healing spells. So like the healing spells aren't working anymore. They're diluted if they work at all. So then you start to learn how to play in a different way because you start to age. Your body is having a resistance against beneficial spells or potions or whatever you got too. So it's like you got to come at things different. You got to keep things fresh, and it's interesting growing old in a role playing. Because your stats start to revert to different, like your intelligent, your mental stats seem to go up and your physicals start to go down. You start to get wounds that don't heal. You've got another thing a lot of people don't use is psychological, like wounds. Yeah. That's a big thing that people don't use ever is like psychological shit.
It depends on the game a lot of times because I've seen plenty of times it has been used.
But it's an arbitrary thing, like, oh, I'm scared of dragons. I'm reduced to whatever.
I tried to do that in the game where I killed off my character and then had to leave the game because the DM wasn't allowing me to kill my character because I didn't like him. But I tried to do the psychological thing, and I've actually had DMs say, no, you can't do that. That's too dramatic. It's like, fuck you. I'm out of here.
Yeah, you made the right decision. You got out of that game or what have you. I absolutely despise when GMs tell me, I wouldn't do certain things when, it's more of a railroady situation as opposed to, this is how I made the character. I know the character better than you do. How the hell would you know, certain?
But L, you don't know that. You don't know how I mean, magic, like magic upon magic upon magic.
Maybe it's midichlorians.
Yeah, who the fuck knows? Maybe the magic has caused your body to change.
Yeah,
you don't know.
Like, I'm trying to express emotion and play a character here, and you're like not letting me because it's too in depth and like. Yeah, I like that idea, Brian, with the magic having the cumulative.
I mean, whether it's magic or not, the real point starts coming down to it is, and this is where other games I think do a good job of it. Warhammer, you start having permanent injuries. a lot of
Yeah.
games don't have permanent injuries if you take
Yeah,
some
you're
things.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
I actually like that. I mean, how many anime have we seen with that veteran grizzled hero, his arms in a sling or whatever, always, or he's got a
Yeah.
limp or some crap like that. But yet, then
You
like
know,
Yoda, when he needs to, he just says, "Screw it, I'm just kicking Dooku's ass, and then
Yeah.
later I'll go back to my cane," kind of thing.
Yeah,
I love that.
you know, the mobile infantry made me the man I am today.
Yeah, that's
Right,
true.
right.
Hey,
Well,
Yeah,
but
you
the
give that guy
traveler-
robot
some of that-
arms and legs or whatever, and put him back on the battlefield. He's going to be like the only guy to live in after Clendathu or whatever got raised.
That guy has those things. He just doesn't wear them while recruiting.
Yeah, exactly.
The purpose
Actually,
of that
Al-
guy is to scare people away.
I think it was Andre Norton wrote a book, Magic Goes Away. That was a very, very interesting story with great artwork in it. I think I still have the paperback. Where the magic was literally, disappearing from the world because it was about to become, the Earth that we know, in like 40,000 years or some junk like that. It was very interesting, like a pre-Dark Sun kind of situation almost, where you literally magic became a finite resource, and eventually it was going to be all freaking gone.
have you ever thought
There's
like
Anne
maybe
McCaffrey series, Pirate Planets.
maybe we didn't have like the ability, think about this, like magic over time has developed into a biological like function, like healing potions, like maybe in the fantasy world our bodies weren't, didn't have antibodies or some shit, right? We just fucking die. But then because magic was so prevalent that our bodies start to like basically mutate because of it, and then now we have these innate like inherent biological processes that do things that these bombs and these magic spells and shit would do. That's kind of interesting to think about.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at Shadowrun, as your player's supposed to get older, they're supposed to be losing essence. And essence is one of those things that relates to your ability to do magic. And in the first edition, I think it's in the second edition as well, if you took, I think, a critical or deadly wound, then you're looking at possibly losing your essence. So all of a sudden it made your mage much less likely to go out in combat because they actually become weaker the more they go into fighting. And then they start doing what they call burnout mage. They're like, well, to repair this, is putting in cyberware, which makes it even worse because now their essence goes down even more.
Palladium did the same thing with cyborgs, and Traveler did it with, once you get to a certain age, every 4 years, you're rolling to see if your stats are going down, your physical stats, while your mental stats are going up, because you're getting old, and that's what happens to us. We've already covered that topic with reading. Once you start getting older to a certain point, things just don't want to work the way they used to.
I'd like to play a role-playing game where we're all like old.
You know what though? You mentioned that, but I kind of like the age of characters when they're in their 50s because they're over the hill. They're not as physically adept, but
because
they've
I
got
don't want
the
to play Cocoon, the role-playing game.
I don't want to play 70s because at that point we're playing binary.
And that's 70s show, but you are 70s.
Like, I'm gonna have my soup. Oh wait, what great sci-fi movie I just watched it yesterday.
The Golden
Guys,
Guys, is that what you're talking?
I forgot about this movie.
Next
guys.
week,
Brazil.
Oh, dude,
Yes.
I will ban you. I hate
You
that
don't
movie.
like Brazil?
Oh God, I hate
Oh,
that
fucking
movie.
heretic.
It is so crazy, dude.
I will explain
It's
why
great.
off camera why I
Hey,
hate that
hey.
movie, but
Hey.
I hate that movie. That is the top of the list of the movies I hate the most.
Wait a minute. Space
Really?
Cowboys, when they had Tommy Lee Jones and Donald Sutherland going into space.
I never saw that one. Is
Oh,
that
you
like
got
your
to see
favorite?
that one. That's exactly the one type of show you would like.
Space Cowboys.
Yeah,
Where they're all
it's from the
old man.
1990s. They decide to send them outside of, they grab all these old astronauts that are in their 70s. So
No,
it's
I
got
think that's a 2000s movie with Clint Eastwood and
Tommy Lee Jones and
yeah,
Donald
yeah,
Sutherland.
yeah, it's like 2010 or something like that.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's older than that.
Oh.
Look it up. I'll look it up.
I'm doing it right now. Clint Eastwood.
Is that your favorite movie, Brian?
No. My favorite all-time movie ever is Ben-Hur.
Space
Charlton
Cowboy.
Heston one.
I know. I was just messing with you.
And then there's
Believe it or
Return
not,
Living
that's
Dead.
actually Adam
2000.
Savage's favorite
It
movie.
came out the year 2000.
2000. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, those guys are all still kicking too, man.
Yeah.
It's all that a
Did
dream
Sutherland
from, man.
die?
But see, that's my whole point is when you come over and you're
he's
over
still
the
alive.
hill and now you're acting as a mentor. You're not as fast. You're like things start aching.
Creaking.
Just
My
imagine
father's
like
noise.
imagine a 6-year-old bard like trying to, hey ladies, what's up?
Oh, you haven't met those kids? I have.
Yeah.
You
That's
know what I
me.
mean? It's just like, that rude awakening that, the people that, may not be, they
Well,
might
you
think
would
he's
know.
great. His charisma's so high, they think he's fantastic. They love him, but they don't love him like that.
Yeah, it's like that guy in that meme with he's like 80 and he's wearing the vagina inspector T-shirt or whatever, and the two hot chicks walk up to him and they just look at his shirt and then laugh and walk away.
I mean,
Yikes.
we all have that those moments where we're like, shit, I'm fucking old. Damn.
Yeah,
You mean whenever you get up and all of a sudden your leg locks up and you're like, what the hell?
yeah.
Dude, when I did that
I
fit
can't
to
believe
work,
that.
Gabe Kaplan said it best. That's my father's noise.
My father's noise.
yeah, that was
Was
Welcome
it
Back
Welcome Back,
Carter.
Carter? Yeah.
The first episode.
He realized he was getting old because when he would like get up from a chair or something, he'd make the same freaking noises his old man would make doing the same thing, and that's when he knew he was getting.
My favorite line is, of course, it's crude because it's coming from weird. Is that getting old ain't for pussies? It ain't.
No,
Nope.
I can't wait till this pink hair generation are in their 50s and 60s. So
They won't make it to 50s and 60s.
Thank you. Owen. They will not make it. They will self-delete before they hit 40.
No. They're going to make it into their 50s, being
I had a
diabetic.
spasm.
They're going to have to go over, and then they're going to be complaining that they don't get their free insulin.
No one's ever going to get free
or that they can't continue to eat their French rounds while on insulin.
and then
Nice.
what's up, Joe?
You self-deleted halfway through that comment, Owen. Now,
Who are you talking to, Shadow?
My dog.
Oh, okay.
I'm sitting out here. It's starting to get chilly as hell, and he's got to be right here next to me.
yeah.
I mean, I'll be up late on like a voice call or something like that. It's like 12 o'clock. He could be inside in his bed, all snuggly and warm and crap, and he's like right here, right next to me, outside. And if I go in, for a second, he'll come in, and then I'll come back out, and he's like back in the chair.
Why don't you do these shows up in your game room?
Well, because I do the first half, but then I come down and have a cigarette, and then I'm like, screw it, I want another one.
Well, come on.
Yeah.
Why would he do this game show when you can be outside and actually enjoy the fresh air?
The racetrack, yeah.
Well,
racetrack.
I'm not hearing the racetrack tonight, though. I agree with you.
Yeah.
When the racetrack's going, that's very different.
That's a seedy thing we didn't talk about is addiction.
Oh, gambling?
Just addictions.
Oh,
Like-
yeah.
Sex
Whether-
or gambling
Adrenaline.
or
I knew a lot of adrenaline junkies.
power junkies, adrenaline junkies.
Even body modification junkies. That's a topic that's often
Yeah.
discussed.
You're not allowed to talk about that on YouTube. You'll get your channel deleted.
Isn't that Madonna?
We had a guy,
That was
Ion
talking sci-fi
Stones.
games.
Remember
Oh,
Ion
there you go.
Stones where they would
Yep.
they rotate around your head, and then they
Yep.
started coming out with like you can implant them, right, and get the benefits. Well, I had a character that was like nuts. He actually was a girl. She was implanting it everywhere, right, and she had all these buffs, right, and so I always, I had to reduce it because I mean I didn't want to say no, like you said, Justin. I hate when a DM says no, you can't do that. Fuck that.
Yeah.
That's not how I want to do it. So what
Start
I
having
did
them
is I had Zorn, like, she's sleeping on a rock, and a Zorn like, phases through the rock and takes a bite of her ass. So those things ate like, jewels and shit. And so like, so like all of a sudden these Zorns are like attacking her to like actually harming her back because they just want the implanted ion stones. They're just eating those and shit. So
Speaking of which, there was the
Fucking hell.
oh, damn it, you Minority Report.
Yeah.
With the
that's a great movie, dude.
With the doc, with the when they were getting the different body parts and they had replaced his eyes so they can identify him.
Yes, dude. That was a good movie, man. That was a really like, what if, how far are we going to take this, like, preventative crime shit, dude?
Yeah.
If that was a real thing, someone would push for that shit.
Take care, Grandma. We're about to say goodnight.
They're pushing for it now.
Party on.
With AI, and AI can just make shit up about you.
Justin, it's like, Justin, we deem you a threat to the future. You're up for execution.
That would happen.
Oh, speaking of which, if we're going to talk about that, and I remember this from an old Twilight Zone, the Twilight Zone from the 80s, where the kid had to take the test, and if they were too smart, they would kill him off.
Yeah.
What was that? That was based on a movie. There was a book.
I don't know. I'm sure that they all are, but that was one of the things that came in is where everyone had to go in and take this test at a certain age to see, and they're like, well, you can't lie on the test. Like, why would I lie? And at the end, the family called the family and says, well, your son scored too high, and so he's dead, kind of thing.
There was a book that turned into a movie with that guy that played Bilbo in Lord of the Rings.
Bilbo Baggins, like,
not Bilbo.
Frodo.
Samwise.
Oh, Sean Astin.
Yeah, Sean Astin. I couldn't remember his name. I'm gonna look it up quick.
I remember Sean Astin did like a Die Hard ripoff. He's like with a mountain. He's like he was like a John McClane character.
It's a really old, like mid '90s, early 2000s movie.
Really old.
Well, like
mid-90s.
it's 30. It's 25, 30 years ago, right?
That's the problem. It's like, we look at it, it's like, when was Space Cowboys? 23 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
how about, I don't know why I mentioned it, but I'm not sure anyone even say anything. The movie Outland.
Outland is
good.
It's
fantastic.
Outland is like a really seedy. I think it's just like a touch, though.
You have the whole thing where you have the drugs. You have it where he's trying to break up the drug cartel, and so they send some hitmen after him. Yeah. I mean, come on,
it's like a Western. It's like what, 12 O'Clock High or whatever.
Yeah, High Noon.
High Noon. 12 O'Clock High was a war movie. Yeah.
Harrison Bergeron.
The what?
Harrison Bergeron was the name of the movie.
Okay.
And it's based on a book by.
Dude, we're not going to read it. We're going to fucking fall asleep.
Yeah. Well, here's the other point too.
Kurt Vonnegut Jr.
And I originally saw this on Tales from the Dark Side, and then they made it into, and then I guess they made the premise of the movie into the Truman Show. Is how about when the characters are deciding to do the illegal stuff so they can put that on TV and see
the future version of Cops or something?
Well, no. What it was is that it's just like what was that? What they call
thrill thing?
Yeah, it's a thrill thing where people get to live through it. Oh, speaking of which was what was that movie? It had Julia. Can't remember her name, but it basically where they were living people's experiences, and he was killing people off.
I know what you're talking about. I remember that movie.
It was right over in 1999 where they're doing it. I can't remember. It had Angela Bassett.
Virtual.
The Island. Now there's a cheesy movie called that's taken from another movie that was made in the
Check
70s. It was
SCIF.
like a television movie. It was shit. I don't know, but MST actually Mystery Science Theater did a spoof off that movie, but it's the precursor to The Island. But that if you pull away all the like low budget shit, it had a great fucking story, man, about like them raising clones in isolation.
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
they're the hosts, or not their hosts, but they're the people that they're cloning them. Whenever they need those organs, they'll harvest them whenever they want to, or whatever. It's pretty fucking awesome.
well, that was exactly what Shadow was talking about. But no, I mean, I know we're going over the same movies over and over again, but there's so many. To me, you have to bring that in, even for Star Wars, which I know that Shadow wasn't mentioning too much. Star Wars with Jabba the Hutt, and where he decides to pay the bounty hunters just to say, "Hey, look, this is what happens if you lose my cargo." Doesn't matter if you pay him off. It's like, oh no, it's that's classic. It's like, hey guys, guess what? Your friend who owed money, we've decided to put him in carbonite. What are you going to do about it? And there's your plot for the whole thing for that. That's there's so many great things for that. The other part is, whenever you start dealing with bandit kingdoms, it's like, well, if you can't pay this, we're going to have you do this job over here. The Godfather, well, someday I'm going to ask for a favor. Maybe not.
Shit,
now.
man. I had a buddy that lived in Brazil, in Colombia, in the 80s, and the cartels were like kidnapping people and ransoming people, right? But it got to the point where the cartel would call you up and said, "Hey, give us 50 grand, or we're going to kidnap your kids."
Oh yeah.
Like a preemptive, and they fucking paid it. In fact, he moved from, his family was threatened with his kidnapping, and they moved him to America. Luckily, he had the money to get out of there, but he had a cousin that took his place, and he was kidnapped and never found again.
Hey, if anyone actually looks it up,
crazy.
Go look at the Los Pepes and what they were doing. Because, as much as we're talking about that side, don't forget the other side, which is with the Los Pepes. We're literally killing anyone associated with, what was his name? The cartel leader. Anyway, the one in Colombia. The Los Pepes were literally doing that. And then at one point, they freaked out. He freaked out because his wife and son were at this hotel, and the police just left the hotel entirely, all by it, so it's completely undefended.
Oh, they all left.
Yeah, it's like, and he freaked out because his family was completely exposed. What was his name? I can't remember. But it was the Medellin cartel, is what he was.
Shit. They ended up killing him.
Yeah.
The CIA and all those fuckers.
Well, CIA
DEA,
didn't do it. Was the but
the
part
DEA.
the DEA didn't do it either. They were tracking him, but he actually, what was amazing was he had created his own
Medellin.
Yeah, it was the Medellin cartel, but he created his own prison, which he stayed in there, which basically protected him from all the other cartel members, and then he was killing people in that prison, which he was pretty much all alone. And finally, they had enough of that, and the Colombian government went after him. That's when he went on the run. And then the Los Pepes started going after
Escobar, Pablo Escobar.
Oh yeah, go look at it. But look at the Los Pepes. The Los Pepes were going after anyone even associated with them. If you were a lawyer, they would come after you and kill you. I mean, that's what part of what got him.
Yeah, that Carbon Black was pretty cool. Wasn't that a Netflix show at one time?
I don't know. I've never had Netflix, so.
Yeah, Altered Carbon was pretty.
Altered Carbon. Yeah, that was a cool concept. Like they would,
It
Yeah.
would work. It would work for a lot of things from it would really work well in an RPG. You know,
Well, it
players-
just depends, it depends on
that
how
time when he goes
dystopian
and
you want
visits
your
all those-
sci-fi.
visits all those sick people, and he just like he's dying, like but they reboot him, like they reboot him every like 20 minutes or some shit.
Well, let's not forget Lazarus Long and from Heinlein.
Yeah, Lazarus, pretty good.
Is that the one
Redheaded
where
weirdo.
people's brains and energizing the ships or some shit?
No,
I
no,
love-
this-
No, that's like Love's
was dumb as
Forever
hell.
or whatever.
well, if we're going to talk about this again, let's
Skyline. I'm thinking Skyline.
Yeah. let's. But since you mentioned that, and I have to think of the Highliners, let's not forget Dune and the trade cartel of the of the Navigators.
The Ixians,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
pushing that tech that is like not quite
Next
supposed
level.
to be doing that tech, that level, but it was beneficial to the Empire. So
Oh,
they let
the
it,
AI. You weren't allowed to have AI.
yeah, you couldn't make
because of the Butlerian
human
jihad.
thinking.
Yeah,
Computer.
everyone secretly had their AIs, right? Like the Bene
Yeah.
Gesserit, their whole information archives and all that was actually an AI. The Sardaukar were all trained by an AI. Like everyone secretly had an old robot from.
Remember, are you
The
talking about
Wars.
from the Brian Herbert rather than?
Yeah,
this
but
is-
they're all. It's all stuff that he based it on notes his father wrote, right?
Yeah,
So-
left behind. Yeah,
But like everyone secretly had it. Like it was like it's illegal, but
that's so weird because that's something you don't like.
Just put it in the
If you're
closet,
looking
put
at
it away.
Dune just from like the movies and shit, you would have never picked up the whole thing is about. It all starts because of fucking, humanity got, weak, and we
With the
let
Butlerian
robots do
jihad?
shit, and the robots took
Yeah.
over and took over. And
Well,
like,
yeah, that's in the director's cut with the really
Yeah.
long intro. They show the paintings of the jihad.
yeah. But like, if you didn't see that,
Well, right.
that's like the biggest concept of the whole damn thing. That's why the Leto II wanted to have he wanted to vilify himself so the people of humanity would say no more, never again after I'm
Yeah.
gone, and then they do the great Exodus
Exodus,
and
yeah.
live their own lives and not be
yeah.
just-
It's kind of mentioned when Paul is reading the Orange Catholic Bible, because that's in there. The book he's reading in the quarters. That's
Yeah, well,
like,
I mean that's the whole point of why you have the mentats and things. But then that's why spice becomes so important. Is because
Yeah.
you don't have computers, you have to have people that are getting these spices. And then of course it increases your lifespan. But when you take spice, you become so addicted to it that not taking spice will now kill you. Which is
if you take enough of it.
Well-
it's like it's that whole thing where like he purposely, Leto II purposely was a fucking bastard. And like he had the jihad across the world that just burned humanity, and like everybody was subjugated so horribly. To be able to have that foresight to say I have to do this because if I don't, the big bad, whatever the thing that was out in the outer darkness that could come back and destroy humanity, could come back and literally destroy all of humanity. So he had to vilify himself, cause all this terror to just give humanity that freedom again. That's heavy. That's a heavy fucking like
Oh, yeah.
layered kind of
Well, see,
I'm doing this for the greater good type of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, Dune is one of those definitely where they get a lot more into it. But it's the same thing of whenever you start listening to like people have to remember like what came before and how groundbreaking things are in certain eras. And that's one of the things I think with science fiction was nowadays science fiction has become so dystopian where it used to be
Yeah.
more of a utopian aspect. And that's one of the reasons I liked Star Frontiers, is it didn't go all into all the seedy crap.
You know,
And
with like Dune isn't like a swashbuckler, it is heavy. It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
heavy fucking read. And that's why like Dune was always in my periphery. It was like I
Yeah.
know about Dune but I never read it. I read the first book, but before that, it wasn't like a book that a lot of people wanted to read because it was like really fucking heavy instead of exciting and action.
It's a heavy political book. I mean, that's the big thing.
Religious,
If you don't
political,
like the politics, then it's not going to be for you.
Everything in the world is revolving around giant worm semen, which is fucking hilarious.
It's true.
I just gotta get that in there for you, Brian, man.
Hey, the world's bukkake, dude. They're just swimming in it.
And with that, I am going to say goodnight, folks.
Sorry,
I've got to run over to the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen.
Yeah.
This was fun. Amazing because it just came to me like literally this afternoon, this topic. And this is one for the record books. I really wanted to get into it. I might even come back to it later on after October, maybe in November or something. If you guys are up to it, you think it's some more stuff that we missed.
Well, Omanow's got an idea on the tip of his tongue. If you don't got time for him to get it out.
Sure.
What are you referring to?
You were about to say something before I cut you off.
No. I was actually going to start saying, it's time to play Jedi.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I was saying bye. Really.
Okay. Party on, everybody.
Thanks a lot,
guys.
everybody,
Keep it
for
weird.
playing along. And definitely keep it weird. And keep it seedy if you can. If not, you'll get there one of these days. I hope this was helpful to everybody out there. I really appreciate all the new people that came in to watch and comment in the chat section. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And until next time, happy trails.
Nowhere will you find a greater den of hive and scum and villainy in the
Violence,
entire universe.
villainy,
Yeah.
that's it.
And I was thinking
Welcome
Washington, D.C.
Welcome to the family.
Washington,
See
D.C.
you later,
or Belgium.
guys.
The Knesset.
Yes.